Hello, welcome to another discussion on a topic of interest to wire rope users. Today we're discussing Bekaert or pulling eyes, and I'm here with Alistair Challoner, who's going to talk to us about the topic.
Thank you, Pete. Good to be here.
Thank you. Alistair is one of our technical application specialists. He's based in Doncaster headquarters. His real focus is the oil and gas industry. And as you can see behind there, he's with a rather significant rope on a platform. So the key question here, first up, is what is a pulling eye and what are their uses?
Well, Pete, a pulling eye effectively is a means to attach one steel rope to another steel rope, and in this instant here, it's quite a heavy rope being installed via what this is called a pilot line. In this case, it's a steel rope. Sometimes they're fibre rope, but for weight, ropes of this weight, it would be a steel pilot line. But if you consider that these ropes arrive on site and they have to be often always handled along the deck or on the ground, the pad eye is a means of pulling the rope away safely, even if you're not installing. But if you're then going to install like we are in this image, it's important to have a piece of tested kit that is certified and safe to use with a working load limit printed on the actual pad eye itself. So really, simple terms, it's a means to attach and remove wire rope from its supply reel and beyond.
Are there any sort of considerations for the rope that pulls the rope onto the system?
Yeah, you really should, and you'd need to have the same construction and type of rope. So if you've got a right hand ordinary lay rope, 6-strand, you really should have the same construction and type of pilot line. The pilot line would always be smaller, because that's what it's doing, it's just pulling the rope weight. But that's the main consideration. So you wouldn't have a low rotation rope attached to a 6 or 8 stranded rope, because it would have a potential mismatch of characteristics, and you could run the risk of imparting some turn into the system on the rope as it goes on.
Thanks, Al. Are there different types of pulling eyes for different uses?
There are, yeah. The first type, type 1 it is called, is a rigid welded eye. I've got an eye bolt, a threaded eye bolt in my hand here. Your first move would be to remove the thread, and then that part of the eye bolt is welded to the rope end by a qualified and certified welder. That's very important. It's not a simple task, and they have to be type tested themselves, competency, and have to do a pad eye pull-off test in the factory to prove that it's strong enough. So that's the first instance, often applied in the factory. See a few examples here of the working load limits against the diameter. These working load limits are based on a safety factor of 3.15 to 1, and that's over many years of testing and recording the evidence of those tests in our facilities. So that would be the most common use for heavier ropes during installation, but there are other types that we'll just talk about shortly.
So other types are generally for sort of smaller ropes? Yeah,
usually for smaller ropes, rarely, if ever, beyond 32 millimetre. The actual eye itself, the Bekaert eye type 3 and 4, are made from the elements of the steel core, the IWRC. The most simple type 3 is from the wire strand core within the IWRC. The second type, and obviously by nature a bit stronger, is made with the entire IWRC. These would be often installed or made in the distribution centre or the factory by somebody who's skilled in hand splicing. But again, the flexibility that you can do this on site for the lower loads with, again, a skilled operative. But you obviously can get away from needing proper welding kit on site to do this. So all three have got their uses, but I would say the most common for oil and gas ropes are this type, the welded eye bolt.
So specifically for really large ropes, is there any consideration at that point?
There is, yeah. The IMAX product here, branded IMAX, many of our customers will be aware of this and will have either used it or seen it offered, is a upgraded higher working load product. It's engineered, designed and tested at the time of a manufacture, and you can see again it's made within the dimensions of the wire rope itself. can be used for installation throughout the system. I've seen this used on offshore A&R systems where the end termination and rope goes through multiple sheaves, so it is suitable for this. Very important to engage with the technical team at the early stages of an inquiry to talk about this, and it's even more important to realise and note that it is not designed to be a fixed termination following installation. A couple of times over the years I've seen people assume it can be used similar to an open or a closed socket. It most definitely can't be used for that. It's usually either cut off once installed, or in the case on the left in situ to aid removal of the rope once the rope's reached its serviceable life. But it's a good flexible product, but important to engage with the technical team at the earliest stages if you believe this to be an option for you.
And so, I mean, you've picked up on something there. Is that, if you're talking about a pulling eye or what have you, is that important in any purchase, no matter whether it's IMAX or some of the others?
Again, I think very often customers, it's an oversight. They don't sometimes realise they need it until they get to site and they realise they've got no means of taking the heavy rope off the reel. So we usually offer it at the time of proposal, shown on the data sheet with the working load limits as they are. But again, it's important that the end user customer engages with the technical team to talk about things beyond that.
To make sure the rope goes on properly, exactly, easily,
yeah.
Wherever they are.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time there, Al. That covers off everything we wanted to cover today on pulling eyes. If you want more information on pulling eyes, we have created a bulletin which goes into greater depth than we've covered here. If you then have further questions, you can also reach out to any one of our applications team. Best to do it through the email address on screen at this moment in time, and we will get back to you with the relevant answers. So thank you very much for your time in watching this briefing. If you have any queries, as I say, reach out, but hopefully this has been useful for you in your day-to-day operations. Thank you very much.